Hello everyone, universe. Happy hump day. It definitely feels like that's because if you will excuse the expression, I feel like there's a couple of situations where I had the danger of being scrawed. One you already know about, which is the situation with the new operations. So here's what's developed in the last 24 hours. I hope you're doing well, by the way. I don't mean to come on here and bitch, but I'm just sort of I'm sharing with you what's going on. And hopefully if you see anything that you think you could throw your advice in on to improve the situation, please feel free to. I welcome advice. I'm one of those people who's very open to thoughts because I don't know if I've examined or exhausted those potentials yet. So feel free to throw in your opinions at any time. But here's what's going on. So with the Mark $10,000 debt situation, since last we spoke, and you discovered it was $10,000. I called my rep at the state and said, or my BC, my business consultant for BET, and I said that I felt bad about this because I dislike leaving someone in a situation where they may have product that they cannot use. But I do not want to get into a situation where I have to pay this money back immediately. I was willing to accept it because I thought I had time to pay it back. And I would consider it, as I've said to you guys before, like a loan. So I shared all of this with him, and he said, keep in mind that, and one of my other colleagues, Jesse, who's another manager in this program, he said to me, I spoke to him last night, and after our video, obviously, I think it was after the video, I don't remember. Anyways, and he told me and reminded me that I do not have to accept Mark's inventory at all. I could tell him that I don't want any of it. And as a matter of fact, what he recommended was, he said, it's a good idea to try and buy what's in the machine just because it saves you time on stocking certain locations. But I would make it very clear to him that you are not going to take on any other product that he has in his storage facility. I would make it clear to him, this is Jesse talking, saying, I'm going to buy what's in the machine, but I don't need any more inventory. I've got my own inventory, I've got my own storage unit. I don't want any more stuff. Just what's in the machine to save me time. And that's pretty much the way it stands. So I expressed all this stuff to the state rep because I thought, I need to tell him that I'm not trying to be a jerk. Maybe it doesn't matter to him because he even said, my deal is, while it's usually a courtesy the managers do for the manager outgoing, you're not required to by any means. You are under no obligation to take his inventory. You can tell him, take your stuff out of the machines, and I'll put my stuff in. He said the reason we normally like to do it that way is so that the wardens aren't getting complaints or complaining themselves because they have empty machines for any period of time. Because when the changeover occurs, we go from location to location, and I ultimately sign off on it. And so there's no time to fill the machines. So he wanted to make sure I was aware that or he wants to try and prevent downtime in the business because it's money you're losing if the machines are empty, obviously. But he says you're under no obligation to take Mark's money, and I'm not trying to get you involved in his repayment. I was making you aware of what the situation was so that you know if you buy the inventory, you're buying it from us, not from him. If you go that route. And so that presents a dilemma of sorts, because I spoke to Mark earlier this evening, and he threw out an idea that I think would work. Well, I sort of suggested it and he confirmed it, really, but I'm not sure if it's going to work. And I'll get to that in a second, but in the end, it really is a matter of, financially speaking, I could buy my own inventory cheaper. Time-wise, sure. It would be way easier to let Mark just leave his inventory in, we count it, check dates, count it, and then I pay him for it, versus me installing my own product or restocking with my own product. But I'm not going to pay a lot of money. Like I said, I don't even really want to pay $4,500, but I was willing to under those circumstances, which have now changed. So I spoke with Mark tonight, and I said, Mark, I don't mean to be a jerk, but I've already purchased inventory to go into the machines. You know, that's why I said I wanted you to get rid of most of it, so I didn't have a lot to take on. And now I'm hearing there's all this stuff with the state and the loan repayment, and technically the inventory that's in the machine belongs to them, and one way or another someone has to pay them. And I said, if you want me to buy the inventory from you of what's in the machine, I will buy it from you, but you have to work with me over time to let me pay it over the course of a few weeks. If that's not how you want to do it, over the course of a month or so I don't have to take it out. If that's not what you want to do, then we have to let you take your stuff out, and I have to go put my own stuff in there, because I don't have a choice. I don't want to get into this game of who gets what, you know? I don't want to get into that. I want to just, or who gets paid by who. I want to just either pay you or just have you take your stuff out. And he said he understood that, and he said he was willing to work with me over time. He believes there's only going to be $3,500 left of inventory in the machines. I think it's going to be way more than that. I really, really do. I think he's underestimating what's going to be in that machine. Those machines. I think he's overestimating how much he gets rid of on a consistent basis. I really, really do. So that's where I stand on that. I'm concerned about it, honestly. But he says he's willing to work with me. So now, here's the real question. Will the state allow me to buy it from him and then let him write a check? Because Mark suggests that he can't pay that amount right off the bat. So that lends the question, will the state allow me to pay him if when they turn around and say, where's our check from Mark, he says, I can't pay you? Will they say, excuse me, sorry Jack, the inventory in that machine belongs to us, and someone's going to give us our $10,000, or $9,500 is really what it is, or just a little under $9,500. So he says, so that's the question. How is the state going to respond? That's what I have to figure out. Now here's something else going on. Remember I told you I was starting to feel like I'm getting scrawed? So here's see if I can make this story understandable. When I moved to the Houston area in 2010 to start the assignment, I've been working for about 10 to 11 to 12, 3 years. And I'm now moving on to a bigger assignment. Yay me. I'm glad. I'm very appreciative for it. But when I moved here in 2010, my credit sucked. I mean, sucked. For years. And I was with my ex at the time, who has 4 kids, and her credit was even worse than mine. So we went to a second-hand car lot and got the Expedition for 4 times what it was worth. The payments monthly were $700 on a 2003, a 7-year-old Expedition that had 80,000, roughly 90,000 miles on it.